Hello everyone, welcome back to the second channel. My name is Bowser the Healer, and this is the interface video. This is going to be the one that I'll carry from the War Within all the way to Midnight, as I have alpha access and can show you what I'm going to be doing in Midnight for when that happens. That being said, if you're looking for the War Within stuff, all the imports for add-ons and everything are down below, interface stuff, etc., as I walk you through the buttons and the interface and kind of the methodology behind it. But if you're just here for the imports, hey, if you could just hit like and subscribe, it'd mean a lot to me. Trying to make this second channel blow up. I work really hard on getting all this content out. I currently don't have an editor, so it's all me, so it'd really mean a lot to me. Okay, now let's talk interface. So I run a very light add-on setup. You're not going to see a whole lot of add-ons here. You will see the replacements in Midnight for the few things I do have add-ons for, and there's very few things like missing from my interface that I'm going to need in Midnight that I'm going to have to find a way to deal with. Now, the first part of this methodology is the monitor you're on is really important here. I'm on a standard 16:9 FPS gaming monitor. This is a high refresh rate 1080p monitor, meaning that everything is big because I play from an FPS standpoint very close to the monitor. Not as close as some of like the Valorant players you've seen, but like, or Overwatch players that you might have seen. However, I am pretty close. So everything is on screen at a reasonable size that I can see just about everything without moving my eyes around too much. I don't have to ever turn my head to look around the screen. I could just use my eyeballs and see everything that I want to see. That being said, feel free to resize any elements from my HUD to better fit your aesthetic. The biggest thing that's changed since the last video is that my bar is a little bit lower than it used to be. And that's just because I wanted a little more screen real estate up top, because when I start having my tanking weak auras and bars to like track things, it was getting a little bit close to my like character model where I like to zoom in, and I figured I wanted a little more real estate for that. But all of this is going to be very personal preference, so play around with anything. My biggest notes for you when you're making your interface are: make sure you can target things and cast spells nigh instantly, right? You need to be able to either target a player, click on a spell, or hover over a player and click a spell on your keyboard, right? You need to be able to do one of the following to play healer. Tanks and DPS can get away with worse targeting conditions and play just fine, but as a healer, that's like sort of a strenuous part of playing healer that makes it a little difficult, is that you do need to have a way to target players and you need to have a way to cast spells. That being said, first things first, in the options menu, I do use mouse overcasting, and it's right here. By the way, search bar, pretty big. Make sure you use your search bar in the settings whenever you're looking for something. Mouse overcast is right here, no modifiers. It's as simple as that. I use class colors, so I have those set as well. Health, if you type health in, you'll get remaining health, and I like to show health remaining on targets whenever possible. Power bars to see mana bars and other resources. This will show you like runic power on a DK, extremely useful stuff to track. There is a setting for only healer power bars. I guess that's good for like tanking, but realistically I like having it all here. The whole reason I use health remaining, by the way, I meant to say this, is I don't mean to ruin World of Warcraft in like a sentence, but all this game is pixels going down or healing pixels up on health bars. And so like I don't really concern myself with the numbers. I concern myself with like how it feels. Now, the numbers do tell you something. Like, I have relatively more item level gear than everyone in my party because I have significantly higher stats than them. That's useful information at a glance. Some specs have less health than others, and that's totally normal. But I use this information to like better understand the numbers of a season because I'm so focused on the way things feel. And so when I'm healing up someone slow, but I recognize that they have more health than other people, I realize I might take an extra spell or two. Or I see that their item level's low, it immediately tells me, oh hey, their health's low. I should make sure I protect them first over the people who have plenty of gear score. Helps me play my triage better, and whenever a season changes or a stat squish happens, whenever I have the numbers on screen, you get used to seeing those numbers extremely quickly. It really helps. Also, if you always want to see the info on you, type in status text. I like both, but you can have just a percentage or a numeric value if you so choose, which can be quite nice. I like having all the info, so I use both here. Okay, now I'll talk about controls. First things first, everyone's going to have different control schemes and things that are comfortable for them. Is barring any accessibility needs that you might have, for most standard WoW players, my recommendation is to always use all of the keys around your hand to the best of your ability. Let's say you're left-handed using WASD, I highly recommend that you're using things such as, and I have to look down at my keyboard, Q, E, R, maybe even T, F and G, Z, X, C, and V, Control and Shift potentially, 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5 at times, just because they're all relatively around your hand. I wouldn't put a core ability on 5, but actually I have my bear mount right here on 5. It's a nice convenient button, but it's not one I need to reach for in the middle of combat all the time, so it's pretty good. I recommend using all the buttons around your hand to the best of your abilities, because any other control scheme you use, like extra buttons on a mouse or modifier keys, will benefit from using everything around your hand and then getting like extensions of those, because you can hold down a modifier and get even more buttons. Now, some people use an MMO mouse, combine that with the buttons around your hand, that's a whole lot of buttons. However, I use an FPS mouse. I use very specifically the Logic, I have to read it, G502 Hero, and love this thing to pieces. The software is great, but the reason I like it is a bunch of extra buttons, but it's an FPS mouse, because I do play first-person shooters from time to time, and I really like those kinds of mice for that kind of grip, because I'm a pretty good shot, and I like to make sure that I'm like, you know, I can hold the mouse like steadily. I sometimes struggle to aim quite as fast with a like MMO mouse, but like everyone's different on that one. Like I obviously practiced on a lot of FPS mice, so I'm comfortable there, which means my mouse 4 and mouse 5 buttons have been remapped to Control and Shift. So hopefully you're no longer seeing Control 4 here on time dilation and going, Bowser, what are you doing? No. I'm holding Control on my mouse and I'm hitting 4 on my keyboard, which is way less strenuous. I need you all to know to take your buttons seriously. If it's ever uncomfortable to play, find ways to adjust to make it easier, right? Do you need to have Bloodlust bound, or can you just click on it? Or what about your raid buff, right? Find other ways to reduce your button load, or so that you can have things in more convenient locations, because realistically, that's more important than anything else. I don't want you hurting your hands, your fingers, your wrists, or your arms, etc. when you're playing. I wrote my undergrad thesis while playing a lot of competitive Smash Brothers, and let me tell you something, that did a number on my forearms, and I'm still dealing with it to this day. So learn your stretches, be kind to your hands. I want to make sure that gets said in a video about interface, because it is too damn important. Okay, now in Midnight, when we finally get our details meters, we don't have damage meters right now in Midnight. Unfortunately, they're going to be in the bottom right. This is one of the few add-ons that I use, right? Useful to know how much damage you're doing, useful to know how much healing, and if you ever get like psyched out by it, like you're like, oh, I can't play while knowing my damage, turn it off. Just go swap it to like cooldown usage or mana restored or something, right? Turn it to something arbitrary. Maybe turn it to death so you can quickly see what people died to, which is really informative. But I really like having that information available because it makes me feel like I can parse better about what's going on in the group. But if it does intimidate you, have this resource available to practice and learn and get better, and then turn off the resource so you don't psych yourself out in a dungeon. It's a great thing to do, and this will be a baseline feature. A damage meter, healing meters, etc. will be in Midnight eventually, and I'll be able to test them and report on them. If I have an import for that and it's Midnight's out, it should be down below this video. The next one I use that will be going away is Omni CD, so you might not want to set this up. You'll only see this on my nameplate right now, but it's all these cooldowns I'm tracking. I love tracking cooldowns to know if my teammates are using defensives when they're in their cooldowns, so that I can better work with them. That being said, there is no current feature in Midnight that I know of that lets me know that my teammates are popping defensives or offensive cooldowns, something that I really want Blizzard to work on, because I as a healer benefit greatly from knowing if people have defensives running. I don't need to know the details of the defensive, I just need to know that they're relatively well defended or extremely well defended or invulnerable. And I'd love to know when they're pumping big cooldowns, just because it would be really nice to get that feedback to know, oh, they're in cooldowns, they might not be able to heal themselves that well right now, I can attend to them. These sort of things affect triage. It's one of the things that I'm requesting. That being said, it also is my interrupt tracker, which you can't see, it's behind my head right now. Interrupt trackers would be nice in Midnight as well, but that's neither here nor there. Health bars here, targeting frame is over here to the right. If I have a focus target, they're going to appear down here. My cast bar is right below my body so that I know when something's about to cast or be done channeling. All of my buffs and debuffs are located right here. I'll press Bloodlust so you can see another buff over here, or debuff. And I have them aggregate in different directions so that I know what's happening. They're small, but they let me easily see what they are without looking too far away from the action. I just want to know, if you have your buffs and debuffs in the top right, that can be fine, but you got to hike your eyes all the way up here, which can be a lot more work depending on your monitor. I like having all that information centralized, and actually this is what my setup looks like in Fellowship. This is what my setup looks like in Final Fantasy XIV. It's what it's going to look like here. I have my cooldowns and buttons in places I know where to look for. So like, for instance, Emerald Communion, right? Like, if I want to know when this move's coming up, well, all my major healing cooldowns are usually down here where I can see them. Sometimes they're up here, but I know on a spec-by-spec basis where certain moves are, like time dilation's right here. Having them organized in like a cooldown manager is going to be a really nice feature that is available midnight, and you can resize things and move them around, etc. I do use weak auras. Now, I really hope that weak auras get to stay in midnight, not combat ones. Like, I don't want my boss fight solved with a weak aura pack, but ones that track specific cooldowns or bars the way I like, those are what I prefer. And other than my mouse cursor, which is ultimate mouse cursor, I just make ones for like specific functions on a spec. We're going to actually talk about this one. Raidability timeline. By the way, this is becoming a feature at midnight that'll be baseline, which is extremely cool. Happy to see this here. A group finder region display. That's fantastic. Disintegrate ticks. Woohoo. Nothing fancy here, but you'll notice all these other ones are either imports of functions from different classes that people have made, or they're ones I've made. Like Enraged, this just lets me know that I'm enraged when I'm playing Fury Warrior, or Demon Spikes lets me know how long Demon Spikes is up for. High Tide, which is, thank goodness this is going away, but High Tide let me know that I spent enough mana that my chain heals were stronger. I would just have these little tiny trackers, and they show up as like little bars. And I'm going to be doing that with the new Midnight system as well. So a lot of weak auras integration I don't really need, but I know how many people do. The biggest thing missing, by the way, in Midnight, and then I get to tell you about the most exciting feature about Midnight, is targeted spells. Targeted spells on nameplates is a really nice feature, and I'm wondering if these mobs will cast a targeted spell. Let's see if we can get them to do something. But when a mob starts casting, it'll show up on my nameplates here. Yep, that I'm being cast on right now. It's a really nice feature for like letting you know as a healer who's getting targeted by what, so that you can better play your triage and heal people up. I'll let them fight me for a second, because I can also talk about Plater here. But this is a feature I would like to see baseline. I would like Blizzard to find a way to let me know who's being cast on other than nameplates. I use Plater right now in retail, because Plater gives you the most essential information, like who's casting spells on who. But this feature you see right here, I'll put some gameplay on screen, is actually available in the base UI for Midnight. So you're going to be able to have this information. My nameplates on Midnight aren't exactly where I want them right now. So, and there's still a few bugs on them. And like, for instance, sometimes the main target's nameplate gets shifted way over to the side, and it's very hard to tell where they're standing in like the actual world. And I think Plater currently does a better job of stacking. That's hopefully something Blizzard can work on. But if you are playing in the War Within and would like that information, grab my import down below for Plater and use it until the new one comes out. But the moment the new nameplates come out, as long as the stacking issue has been fixed, I will swap off of Plater, because I would like to use less add-ons when necessary, because it does help with game performance. And while most of these things are super lightweight, less is more here, right? More processing power that's strictly in the WoW engine, and anything coded natively for the game is likely to perform better than any add-on or weak aura would have done before. Some of them are extremely well coded, and a huge shout outs to add-on developers, but native integration is likely to be as performative as possible, and that is a little important to me, as I do like playing the game at high frame rates, like 120 FPS. It's my sweet spot. I really like that. What else do I use for add-ons? Do I use anything else? Of course, how could I forget Bigwigs? Bigwigs is one of my favorites. Now, boss reminders and information in Midnight are much more present, and you can customize them. It's a great feature. That being said, there's one feature it doesn't have that I love, and that's that I like having a victory theme when I kill a boss. I love hearing a victory theme, and thus, for me, I'm going to use Bigwigs at least for that, let alone maybe its own sound effects for things, because if it can read spells and still like alert me that they're going off, I do prefer the way that Bigwigs alerts me. I haven't been able to play out in a really intense situation some of the Midnight features, so that might be pretty comparable, but I need that victory theme. You don't understand, that high of finishing a boss fight and hearing your favorite little jingle is just peak, and I need to have more of it. One of the coolest parts about the current plates is that you can track your cooldowns with the cooldown manager. and the cooldown manager will show any available buffs the way that you like it. This is something you can do in edit mode. You can change what's showing up, and of course, if you would like it to track other cooldowns, you can put them wherever. These are disabled for me right now in what I'm tracking, but then of course we can go to advanced cooldown settings, and it's possible for us to track certain buffs or cooldowns. You can even go through and create alerts for them, like a sound when it's available. You can even select the pandemic window. You can pick sound alerts. It's a really robust system. It can't track everything, and I wish I could track more buffs on my bar, because there's just some things that you can't track, and I really would like it to be way more flexible as to the kinds of things it lets me put a duration on. For instance, I would like an ignore pain bar that shows me how much ignore pain I have, not how much longer the ignore pain will be on me for, because I'd rather that just be a number that ticks down, and I would rather know how much ignore pain I have, and it's like flip-flopped. And I think that should be something that is possible. I want more customization. What Blizzard's been doing, though, is pretty fantastic. I don't know who casts in this dungeon off the top of my head. We're just going to start pulling and find out. Yep. The only problem is that some of these nameplates will get out of hand as you go, but you can see it shows who's being targeted, who they're casting spells on. It's very nice. And I really like the new nameplates. I think they did a very good job with these. If you're not hearing any game sound, that's because I have it turned off right now. And you'll notice I can keep track of my Painbringer, which is really important on Demon Hunter. I want to know how many stacks I have. That isn't displaying, and I would love for that information to show up here. However, I can't see how much longer my Demon Spikes is running, and just knowing that my Painbringer is going to fall off means I'm probably losing stacks of it, so it's not a bad thing that it's tracking it the way that it is. But I like the new nameplates a lot, and there's a lot of different settings you can run for them. And again, I'm not even like showing crowd control, but it's entirely possible for us to like go to nameplates, scroll down, and then where is it? Simplify, style, nameplates, buff, size buff, shared crowd control. So I can actually see what's crowd controlling the mobs. So for instance, I love this talent, by the way. Drops a flame sigil at your location. It's very cool. But now if I stun all the mobs, it'll show the stun marker. Midnight, I'm not so worried about a lot of the missing add-ons. There's like a few quality of life things. I do want to know when people are in defensives. Like if I pop these buttons, you don't really know I'm in meta on the nameplate. So you might notice the demon form, but you don't really notice on the nameplates. Other than those concerns, I'm actually really excited about all the changes that are coming to Midnight, and my interface hasn't changed much, but hopefully this video has helped you work on your interface, work on your controls. If you ever have questions about controls or anything interface, let me know down below, or feel free to bother me in my own Discord or my own Twitch channel, because realistically, I love talking about this stuff, and I want to help you and everyone else get comfortable with their setup so they can have as much fun playing WoW just the way they like to. That's going to do it for me. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. I need this to be in the outtake somewhere. I always do this naming convention for like alphas and betas. I name everything some stupid version of Bowser. We got Powser, we got Wet Bowser, Moozer and Moozer too, but I think Stabzer is the most important. Don't mess with Stabzer, you hear me? Did you all get in a fight? How? How? What did you do to get in a fight? Austin, why are you running around like that? No more fighting. Come to the corner. Your tank is recording a video and would like you all to behave for like 10 seconds. Thank you.